Hey guys, thanks for joining me back to Middle Class Reactions. Today we're going to look at a topic we've never really looked at before, but this is a YouTube channel called Jubilee. They do a lot of different debates. The middle ground debate I actually enjoy a lot because you can get a debate on a topic and it usually doesn't get like crazy out of hand. You know, they're not screaming, they're not yelling, that kind of thing. This one is on vegans versus meat eaters, and they go over a few different topics. I actually really enjoy this topic. I've worked around farms. I've worked on or worked around slaughterhouses. I've worked in a slaughterhouse. When I was in high school, my high school actually had a meat lab, is what the class was called. It was a slaughterhouse. People could bring your cows or deer or pigs or whatever, and we take care of it. So I really like this topic. So I'm gonna break this up into a few different videos, just because the whole video is an hour and a half long, and I'm not gonna do one solid video on it. So we're going to break it down topic by topic. And yeah, so let's see what they have to say.
Animals are put on Earth to be eaten by humans. Step forward if you agree with the prompt.
So I'm Bella. I am a carnivore, so basically that means I've been on a carnivore diet of eating only animal foods for the past 6 years. I was also vegan for 6 years, right before I went carnivore. So I feel like I do have a pretty good sense of how I feel, my health, and the purpose of the food that I'm eating with both lifestyles. So when I was vegan, I actually lost my period. So I was no longer fertile. I had extreme skin issues, psoriasis, cystic acne. I had also mental health issues. I used to be a classical pianist, and I studied at Juilliard for 2 years. Wow. Yeah, so I just remember going on stage, and I couldn't remember the pieces that I was supposed to perform. And I was panicking. I was like, what is going on with my memory? Why can't I focus in the practice room? And why am I feeling so nervous and anxious right before stepping out? So to me, that says a lot about whether or not the foods I'm eating are supporting me. So when I stopped the vegan diet and went fully carnivore, the difference in my mental health, in my confidence, in my fertility as well was just night and day.
It's kind of amazing how that works, huh?
Yeah.
As coming from a hunting and conservation background and also in ag, yeah,
So one thing I do want to say, just kind of before we get into what he's kind of telling us about himself, it's impressive that that one lady went from fully vegan to fully carnivore. No matter where you sit on this particular topic, vegan, carnivore, whatever, that's impressive. So I gotta say, props to her for that.
you'll definitely learn where the denser protein comes from and the higher quality protein. I personally have been, for the last 7 or so years, but basically my whole life, I've fed my family off of almost 100% wild game of some type, whether it be deer or elk or pigs or ducks. You definitely have a closer feel to what you're consuming when you have full control over it. You're not buying it from somebody at the grocery store that who knows where it came from, how it was handled before it got there. And yeah, I think they're here for you to eat. I don't think strictly for us. I mean, whoever needs that protein takes that protein, and it's been that way for millions of years.
Yes. So I'm a raw meat eater, meaning I only eat raw animal products. And I found
I just want to say that's wild. But like raw meat eater, that's crazy.
that, finding myself here, I had to go through a long, extensive journey of finding the truth about what is true about our diets, about nutrition, about the world, about spirituality as well. And I think when it comes to thinking about if we are meant to eat animals and that animals are meant to be eaten by us, we have to remember that we are at the top of the food chain. And being at the top of the food chain, it doesn't mean that we can just go on a rampage and do whatever we want, kill animals and eat them all, but it comes with a responsibility. Mm-hmm. The strength of being at the top, having the conscious ability to make those long-term decisions and put in the long-term investment to raise animals for food, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of knowledge. And that is something that we humans have the power to do. And so I see it as, yes, we're at the top, but being at the top comes with that responsibility to ethically care for the animals, because it's this beautiful relationship where when we take care of the animals, and like you said, you eat a wild game, you understand the cycle of life of the animals.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's just honoring this beautiful relationship where we nourish and take care of the animals. In turn, nature rewards us by nourishing and taking care of us as well.
All right. Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
Dun, dun, dun.
I think it's incredibly self-centered to say that animals have been put on this earth to feed us. Like, I don't think we should act like the world revolves around us as humans. And you say, you know, that we have the power as humans to raise animals for food and to farm them. We also have the power not to do that. We have the power to treat them with kindness and compassion. And I am a factory farm investigator, a slaughterhouse investigator. I go into these places. 99% of the animal products in the United States come from factory farms. And I've been in these places. It is hell on earth. There is nothing humane that happens in those places, even when they claim that it's ethically sourced, when they claim that it's humane, it is not. There are animals screaming, there are animals dying, there are animals languishing in their own feces on certified humane facilities. And we have the power not to do that. And I think that's the conversation we should be having, not that we have the power to do it, so that we should.
I do agree with that sentiment. The reason I disagree with the prompt is that it felt a bit too like anthropocentric for me. Like it's very like human supremacist in a sense. Like I do eat meat. Like I'm omnivore, I guess, but I don't think that their express purpose is, you know, for us to consume them. Like we do live, you know, they're a part of the land, they're a part of the cycle. We do live with them and we do owe them a degree of respect. I ultimately do oppose the current standard that we have of like factory farming. You know, this is a big intersectional thing actually where it does impact more than just, you know, the environment. It leads to a lot of like indigenous land theft, and to that extent as well, like it's eating up a lot of land. So naturally, I feel like I do resist factory farming and advocate more for sustainable, but not to the extent of like no meat at all. Like I don't think eating meat is inherently immoral. There could be a lot more respect towards life and seeing it more as equal rather than like, oh, we're at the top.
So to say that animals are placed on this earth just to be eaten, it's like saying you agreed with the fact that black people were considered just to be slaves.
What? I already don't like this dude. I already cannot take anything he's saying serious. The moment you come out and compare slavery of humans to like, I don't even know what to say to that. I off the hat, I can't take anything this dude says seriously, if that's where his brain goes.
They were only here just for slavery. And if you go back in time, looking at ancient history within even especially just America itself, if you look at history, right? A picnic. What do you think of where the word picnic comes from? It's a picnic, right? So you get it, hang up from a tree, and then now you're having a picnic of eating your animal flesh around this person because that's how you see them. So you're seeing this animal as the same type of individual. Like the animal has no life, it has no existence but to fuel your supposed protein needs that you need, or supposedly your health was not good because your personal experience, but to say that that's your personal experience justifies everybody else's choice that they should eat just because 6 years you did it, you tried it, but now 6 years you're doing carnivore, oh, it works so well.
Yeah, for you to discredit my own
Yeah,
experience
but that's
with
your
my
own experience,
vegan
right?
diet,
You can't just
6 years of
assume
vegan
that
diet.
eating
So
animals
are you
is.
saying that I did it wrong?
No, I'm not saying you did it wrong.
Right.
That's your own
And that's
personal
why I said it,
experience.
because
Exactly.
this is my personal.
So how can you agree that everybody should eat animals?
I never said that. I feel
I
like
didn't hear
everybody
anybody say
should eat
that.
carnivore.
Well, that's
Everybody
what I
should
want
eat
to
meat.
point out. So it's not about everybody. It's your own personal experience, right?
Yeah, that's what the problem is.
Absolutely.
Also, I just want to say, I just chat GPT, where's the word picnic come from? And picnic comes from, and it says, pick, spelled Pique, means to pick as in picking at food. Nick, Nique, was a word meaning something small or trivial. So picnic roughly meant a social gathering where each person brings a small contribution of food, kind of like a potluck. Borrowed into English around 1740, keeping its French meaning at first. Over time in English, it came to mean an informal outdoor meal typically enjoyed in a park or natural setting. And it even says right here, and this is ChatGPT, this is a liberal ran thing, and it says myth busting. There's a false claim floating around the internet that picnic has racist origins. That is not supported by any credible linguistic evidence. Linguists and entomologists unanimously trace it to the French picnic with no connection to racial violence. That's ChatGPT. Well, like I said, yeah, I mean, I already dislike this dude, and he's just, I'm not going to say he's outright lying. My guess is he saw that somewhere on the internet, and he didn't check it. Although I would think anyone who hears that would instantly be like, that's wild. Let me look into that. And a quick 20-second ChatGPT search would have shown that he is not correct.
Also, I think it's very unfair to compare the lives
not
of,
unfair.
of black people
Not unfair.
to that of animals. Like, you put that in your own words, that it's very similar to the way black people were slaves. We are enslaving animals for food, like completely
Yes.
different.
Why do you think that an animal's life is worth less than any other form of social injustice? There was a time when gay marriage wasn't legal, when black people were slaves, and now there's animals that are kept in factory farms and slaughtered for their flesh. What's any different about that? Because you can't talk to them in the same language? There's plenty of animals that are smarter than humans. A three-year-old child has the same intelligence as a pig.
absolutely.
There are not plenty of animals that are smart humans. That's just not true.
I want to jump off that real quick just to talk about the enslavement of animals in our society today. And I want to ask you specifically, you said that you feel close to the animals that you murder, slaughter, and rip away from their families. Do you ever feel or have any sympathy for what the animals go through when you kill them, how their family feels? Animals are the same, all animals are the same, and especially animals that you kill, to humans in all the ways that really matter. They feel pain, they experience joy, they have families, and you are taking their life away from them when you have other options available and you don't have to make that choice.
In
And
the
that's
same
power
way
of personal
people own
choice.
pets, they bring pets into their own care, into their own hands. They love them, they house them. They guarantee that these pets are given food, given shelter. It is no different when we are raising animals for food. And I think if there's middle ground here that we can all agree on, it's that factory farming is unethical. I personally do not support factory farming. I do not purchase from places that support factory farming. I support, local farmers markets, local butchers that are locally sourced, connected to small farmers. And so when it comes to raising animals for food, it is no different. Knowing that these animals have a very direct impact on our lives, on our health, we want to love and take care and nourish the animals. And so, animals out in the wild, they have that chance of being dead, eaten, killed, swept away from harsh conditions. They have that chance of contracting diseases from the outside, and they could be dead today. Within our care, presumably on an ethical farm, I think we can all agree, like I said, factory farming, unethical. But on an ethical farm, we are taking the animals into our own care. We are giving them that guarantee of being fed today. They have that shelter today. We have that bond with them today. And we create this beautiful relationship where we understand that this animal will nourish us. Therefore, we want to nourish this animal, take care of it the best that we possibly can. But when it comes to eating animals for food, that is a reality that has been with us for the beginning of our existence.
So one thing I'm going to say, bouncing off of that, and this is something I've seen working on farms and working slaughterhouses and stuff, the amount of animals killed just to procure like grain or vegetable, any kind of vegetable, any kind of wheat, anything. I mean, literally anything that is not an actual animal. And I'll get into the animal side in a second. Anything that is procurement of a vegetable or anything like that, the amount of animals that have to get killed to procure that is absolutely insane. The amount of animals that get killed in the combines that go and collect everything, or the pesticides that get sprayed, or whatever. And you're right, you want to look at it. The amount of animals that get killed in that are astronomical. And so, anyone who's on a vegan diet, you're not escaping animals getting killed for your food. You're not escaping that at all. Difference is that you just most, not all, not gonna say all, most vegans just ignore that fact. I mean, baby, the main things that get killed are ground nesting birds, baby rabbits, and stuff like that. I guess mice, whatever. Rats, baby deer, fawns get cute little baby. Yeah, they get crumpled up in those combines almost more than anything because the mama doe, the nanny doe, will hide all of their babies in the tall grass because it's safe from predators. And then when the combine comes through, you can't. I've been in those combines, you just can't see them, and that's the end of that. Snakes and all different kinds of stuff, all different kinds of animals get chewed up in those combines. So anyone who says that they don't kill animals for their food, that is not true. The animals are getting killed, and an insane number of animals are getting killed. The question is where does it no longer matter to you? Like, are you okay with birds being killed? Are you okay with rabbits being killed? Are you okay? Where is it? Is it animals that are just cute? Because if it's just animals that are cute, well, now your moral compass is off. You're not being honest. And then we're not even going to talk about the amount of insects and bugs and that kind of thing. So it's just not true that vegan food is absent from the killing of animals to procure it. That's just not true.
Capitalism didn't exist at the beginning or bane of our existence, and I don't think that it is a reality because there's 4 people sitting here living proof that veganism is also a reality and also an option. And third, I would say that there is no nourishing the animal when the animal didn't have to be brought into existence in the first place. And as a vegan, I don't think that most of us support the breeding of dogs or pets either. And when we rescue our animals, they don't have a demise of being slaughtered at the end.
I would never slaughter my dog. When you're talking about caring for animals that aren't
Yeah,
animals,
we're not talking about slaughtering
you
a dog.
mentioned that you
At the same time, dogs provide. Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned bringing a dog into your home and how we have this relationship with our dogs or cats or other animals in our home, and compared that to animals that are used for food. I would never end my dog's life by killing them or murdering them.
I want to be very clear. I would not do that
Your dollar
either.
and your consumer choice is promoting and supporting the killing of these animals that feel the same feelings as our dogs that we bring into our home.
But when we bring a dog into our home, aren't we receiving a benefit from that? We are receiving companionship. In return, we are giving this dog food, house, shelter, and love. Same thing for when we eat animals. We are,
Do you
we
personally
benefit
do that
from.
to the animals that you eat, or do you just assume that's happening behind doors that you've never seen?
I make that highly conscious decision to make sure I'm voting with my dollar to support the highest quality livelihood for animals.
seen how
But
all that
I am
works.
I'm in contact with the farmers that I'm sourcing my meat from.
Have you visited a regenerative farm? Have you met
Yeah,
your local
I
ranchers
actually
and
have
your
a
local
bachelor's
farmers?
degree in sustainability, and I did an extensive project on regenerative farming.
I've had the same questions. I've been exposed to the same things when I was vegan. I was in the vegan community for 6 years. For me, when it was too far is when I lost my period. I can't have children if I don't have a period. So I became infertile. And do you know what the vegan community told me? That's fine. That's actually a sign of health, and that's totally normal. So I admit that there was a lot of misinformation and brainwashing going on for myself, and I'm speaking for myself. I can respectfully listen and understand your point of view. I was there myself, but my brain just opened up, and I had to face, is it going to be my health, or is it going to save the animals no matter what?
At some point, you have to decide, is it worth sacrificing my health for a religious ideology?
I'm fully healthy. I think if you're an anomaly, there can be an exception to be made, but I've been
Also, it's not an anomaly. You can talk to a lot of dentists who've seen vegans, and dental health is another one that just absolutely goes through the toilet. That's a very common thing that gets seen. So yeah, not an anomaly at all.
Been vegan for 13 years, vegetarian for 23 years, and I'm extremely healthy. I get blood work done yearly. I lift weights. I can run a mile in under 7 minutes. I mean, you're an anomaly, and I think that there are other anomalies in existence, but I don't see how how your one experience, I mean, we don't know what you were eating, how you were treating yourself in your day-to-day life.
I was eating
don't
a
know
whole
what-
foods, plant-based diet. I was not even eating any processed vegan foods.
I don't think
no
there's
mock
anything wrong
meats,
with processed
just
vegan
whole
foods.
foods.
You need to track your micronutrients, your macronutrients, your vitamins.
So you're saying she
There's-
didn't do it right?
I don't know if she did. I can't see her history of what she was eating every day.
Look, I'm sorry you had a bad experience and that you lost your period and that people weren't nice to you about it. But I think like I can't stand what's happening to the animals. I've been to some of the darkest places on earth where these animals are tortured by the hundreds of thousands. And you're saying that you try to source local, and I get that, and I think it's great that you care about animals. I appreciate that a lot. But I think if you go to a slaughterhouse where all of these animals are killed, ultimately, regardless of where they're raised, there's nothing humane that happens there. Animals.
Okay, this is another one where I just can't stand this argument. I don't know if I would assume, I think it would be a safe assumption to say that she's probably never seen an animal kill another animal. I can tell you, if I had the choice of being killed, like where I live right now, there's bears, there's mountain lions, there's wolves, all kinds of different kind of apex predators. If I had to choose between being put down like an animal in a slaughterhouse versus getting killed by nature, I would 1000% every single time, 1,000 times out of 1,000, choose being killed in a slaughterhouse. I've worked in the slaughterhouses. I know, not in a factory farming slaughterhouse. I've worked in small local slaughterhouses. I know how those animals get killed. It's not inhumane. It's quick. It's fast. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of animals there. If you know anything about how animals get killed in nature, you would know that what she's saying is just complete horseshit. Like, I'm sorry for the language. It just is. Like the way it works in a again, I don't know about factory farming slaughterhouses. I think everyone can kind of agree factory farming is suboptimal. Different discussion. But in a small local, like small town slaughterhouse, where a small regenerative farm would take their animals to get slaughtered, animal gets put into a cattle chute. They get ran down. This thing doesn't grab them by the neck. It just holds them still. And then there's a rod that's about 1.5 inches around that is controlled by compressed air that gets put up to the side of their head and punched through their brain. Immediately killed. They don't realize what's going on. In the wild, they get eaten asshole first. Like if it's a bear, the bear literally holds the animal down, whatever they're killing, and just starts eating. Usually they start with the liver because wild animals naturally like the liver. That you see that with bears, mountain lions, wolves. You see that with a lot of things. And the animal's very much alive. I would suggest anyone if you end up watching this, you've never seen how an animal gets killed in nature, go look up an Instagram channel called Nature is Metal and watch how animals kill each other. So saying that that's not a humane death to be killed in a slaughterhouse is just insane. It is completely insane.
Animals enter into a slaughterhouse as live animals, fearing for their lives, and they come out chopped up in pieces. Nothing humane happens along the way.
Animal rights.
Okay, like I said, I'm gonna break this up in different videos just because there's too many topics here. I mean, there's the one that we just watched, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 topics here. So I'm going to do a video on the ones I found the most interesting. But yeah, let me know what you think about this argument. Veganism, I've heard very few vegans make it a coherent argument for veganism. Most of the time, I find it where it's just ignoring a lot of facts about where their food comes from. But let me know what you think, guys. Like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff you know you need to, and I'll talk to y'all later.